What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right. So I talked about this on my other channel, my other platform, Too Raw for Sports, but I want to mention it over here as well. And that is that it was yesterday that New York City Mayor Eric Adams effectively ended the mandate. Now, this mandate was prohibiting New York based athletes from participating in sports in the state of New York if you had not taken the elixir. The most high profile uh, athlete that was being affected by this, of course, was Kyrie Irving of the Brooklyn Nets. But because the mandate is now ending, this frees athletes to participate in sports in their respective home state of New York. So this will allow Kyrie Irving to play not only in just road games, but in home games for the Brooklyn Nets. He can play at Barclays Center. And you kind of could see the wheels in motion as far as um, this thing coming. All right. Not saying we will ever be rid of this scourge, but you could tell that we probably have been through the worst of it. And it has been bad. But realistically, we will have to move on from this emergency stage and learn to live with this thing. Now think about this. This thing has been around since late 2019. We're in 2022. We have to learn to live with it. And it's going to become eventually one of these things that we will deal with. And and experts, not me, experts believe that this will be one of those non-communicable diseases that we'll have to deal with that will be seasonal and more than likely a nuisance rather than something more serious as time goes on, similar to the flu and common cold, okay, um, or endemic. Now, I want to give a big shout out to Kyrie Irving because you have to admire someone who has principles, which is something that we don't see as often as we used to. I don't want to put him on the same level as Muhammad Ali, but there's some similarities. I mean, as far as this situation, because not only was the government putting pressure on Ali, so was the court of public opinion, and so was in the 1960s earlier on the media. The media was putting pressure on Ali, uh, pegging him as anti-patriotic, um, a bad American, um, a racist, this, that, or the other. And of course, ultimately, as the war waged on and people began to turn against the Vietnam War, Americans' attitudes toward Ali began to change as far as his opinion is concerned. And by 1970, a majority of Americans agreed with Ali, even if they didn't particularly like him as a person. But the thing is, the silent majority has always been with Kyrie Irving. It's just the loud minority, which is the battalion of bootlicks that you hear on television, that have been trying to browbeat and, cajole him into taking the elixir. Now, look, whether you want to take it or not, my personal stance has always been it's your choice. And I understand people who might say, well, okay, if you have such a problem taking this elixir, why didn't you have a problem taking the elixir when you were a child? Well, it's the same reason why, as a child, you could eat and, to your heart's content, that whole gallon of ice cream. But as you get older, you learn about certain things like calories and cholesterol and trans fats and what they can do to your body, right? So something I took as a child, I didn't question it as a child. Also, at least those elixirs had been around for quite some time, so you could kind of get a gist of the side effects of them. Sort of like, look, I'm not one to advocate illicit drugs, but cocaine, heroin, uh, alcohol, these things have been around for centuries. So we've seen what the side effects of these things are overall, as opposed to something that just got introduced into the populace some 25 years ago, like ecstasy. I remember when ecstasy first came out, I was like, these people are crazy to be taking this. At least with the other illicit drugs, these things have been around for decades, so you can kind of get a gist of what can happen. What are the general side effects? What are the risks involved? As we all know now, when it comes to ecstasy, it can kill you on your first dose, and it generally causes over time considerable brain damage. Right? We didn't know that at first. So that's my hesitation when it comes to the elixir. This is something brand new that we're being told is extremely safe, and that might be the case. But at the same time, you know, we also have a government that tells us that a certain president was tragically taken away by a bullet that magically curved in midair. So, yeah, pardon my hesitation in believing everything that I hear from any government source. But back to Kyrie Irving, you had people who were telling him he's not supposed to do this, he's not supposed to do that. And some of it shocked me because these are people who are telling him he has no control and no say so what goes into his body. But at the same time, these are people who have fought for decades for the right to have control over their body. So I'm appalled at the Jamel Hills. I'm appalled at, some of these other figures, the Kerry champions. I'm appalled at them. I'm appalled at Molly Curran. How can you have this stance? You should be the first one in line saying, I can identify and resonate with someone telling me to do my own body. But it is what it is. Some of these people are all for themselves. Like I said, it's not about equality with some of them. It's about supremacy. But yeah, anyway, I'm all for Kyrie Irving, man. When it comes to this situation, he's won. You have a lot of backtrackers in the media lying their fucking asses off because we got the receipts. That they're saying that oh, it never was about us telling us telling him what to do. Really? Because that's not what I heard you say 2 months ago, 3 months ago. So contrary to what Stephen A. Smith says, I look at Kyrie Irving. I don't want to say he's a hero. You could call him a hero, but he's someone who you can admire because at least, he's a person who stood by his principles. I'm gonna tell you something else that was said that kind of pissed me off. Um, Stephen A. Smith said something to the effect of, "Well, I've heard players say, well, if we had our way, we would have held him down and forced him to take it." You know, that might sound comical, but isn't that rather horrifying? A person is telling you, as a human being, um, I don't want to take this because of my own personal principles. But you say, fuck you. The team is more important than you as a person. So we're gonna make you take this. I would never want to fucking play for you or this organization ever fucking again. And I probably would fucking retire if I were Kyrie Irving. The minute that happens, I would say, fuck you, Stephen A. Smith. Fuck this team. Fuck you guys for doing this to me. You don't respect me as a human being. I'm retiring, and fuck you. I didn't find that funny. But that's what it's like, man. They see us as comic fodder. We just supposed to take orders and not take stances. Take orders and don't take stances. Be uniform. Be a monolith. Do everything all in one locking step. Vote 90% Democratic. Listen to only hip hop music. Only do one stereotypical thing. And if you don't do it, then you'll be ostracized and you're not black and you're not this and the other. But anyway, that's all I got to say about it. Tell me what you guys think.